You ready for the big show?
Exactly 15 seconds will be on the air.
Larry. This is the Larry Lincoln Show.
What has happened to America? What has happened to democracy? What has happened to freedom?
Honestly provocative talk radio with Larry Lincoln.
This country was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by a bunch of idiots.
Broadcasting across the United States of America and based in Los Santos.
You can laugh over my mental tears.
That great moment every day where Larry brings you the cold, hard facts without any liberal wokenism from the Daily Dead Fish Wrapper or mainstream media bias.
University plaguing people's minds with indoctrination.
Now, here's your host, Larry Lincoln. Larry Lincoln listeners, welcome in. It's another beautiful, sunny Friday here in Los Santos and another great Friday with the Larry Lincoln Show. I hope you've been having a good week. I know I have been having a okay one for starters. I mean, it's hard to have a good week when everywhere you go you see crime, violence, dead bodies, and injustice. It is so against what America was built on, the foundations of this great nation, that it's hard. It's hard to have a good week knowing that a beautiful place like this, once beautiful place, is slowly turning into a socialist-run place where everything's cut off, they're controlling the media, and they're trying to take away all your money to give everybody free everything. You can not work, you can just do drugs, you can just do crimes, but don't worry, you'll have a place to sleep, you'll have food to eat, and you will get a free $500. It's a damn shame. Larry Lincoln listeners, welcome in again. So glad to have you with us. And again, like it says on Live Invader, the number to call in, 555-9451. If you have anything, please feel free to call in. Before we get started on our first story, I wanted to read a message that came in from one of you, the Larry Lincoln listeners, before we went live today. So let me pull that up here. So one of you wrote to me and they said, "Hey Larry, I wanted to send a message in for the show. What I wanted to let you know is this goddamn Life Invader, the posts lately from these so-called politicians running for governor. Let me say first off, Larry, that as a straight American man, I love women. I'll just say that. I mean, amen to you there, Larry Lincoln listener. I sure do love women as well. That's why I married one. I'm sure we can all say how much we love women, but regardless, continuing on. But Larry, I'm looking at these Life Invader posts and I cannot believe what I'm seeing. These women are running for governor, and their ads are them in bikinis, and sometimes even less than that. I was looking at it, and excuse my language, I know it's a family show. Well, let's see here. Oh, yeah, well, we won't say that one, but they were starting to, basically the listener was starting to wonder if they were running for governor or for something else. I will keep that one off the air. He said there was this one named, not too sure exactly what that one is, but they said there's one in particular who does provocative dances outside of buildings to raise awareness for a campaign. She's wearing a bikini in February, Larry. I could not believe it. Back in my day, you had debates, you had conferences, you had politicians doing fundraisers, not posting on social media where the goddamn baby comes out of them. Jesus Christ. Amen to that, listener. Amen to that. I couldn't agree more. So, finishing up with his statement here. He says, I want to vote for someone who I know is going to take this godforsaken city in the right direction, not because of how much cellulite they have on their thighs. Oh my goodness. Somebody is getting a little spicy out there, Larry Lincoln listener. Finishing up his statement, though. Again, Larry, I love women, but I say keep that kind of thing in the strip clubs and out of politics of this great city. Thanks, Larry. God bless you. Whew. Well, Larry Lincoln listener, thank you for starting off the show on a hot note and not just talking about the pictures. But Larry Lincoln listeners, I'm married. I'm just going along with what he's saying. Regardless, I couldn't agree more with what you said there. Those kind of things have their place in our society, albeit a sinful one. A sinful place where I don't agree being a Christian man. I know a lot of you out there are as well, Larry Lincoln listeners, but it doesn't have a place in our politics. If someone's going to be running for office to run this here city and try to awake us all from the liberal nightmare controlling everything we do, taking the money out of our businesses and, like we'll get to later in the show, repossessing businesses from goddamn Americans just trying to make a living, it doesn't have a place. If you're running for governor, it should be based on your merits, your goals, and your aspirations for the city. I could agree with you there, most definitely. We'll be having a show next week, Larry Lincoln listeners. We're going to be having as many governor candidates as we can come on the show, speak to me, speak to you, and answer some hard-hitting questions, and I'll make sure that this is one of them. I ask some of those governors who are posting pictures like that on Live Invader. Thank you again. Let's roll right into the first topic, listeners. So earlier this week, I went to City Hall about probably on 3 different occasions. What one of them was, or I guess all 3 were, to try to figure out why there is no way to publicly access these records of these court cases being conducted. Well, once they're all done, said through, and a verdict's handed down, it seems that the DOJ likes to file them away in the locked key in the way back of the building, maybe even in the basement about 600 levels down under the earth, and nobody can access them unless you work for the DOJ, or from what I've seen in practice, you're one of their friends, because let's not forget about that atrocity underneath the bridge right behind City Hall. A desk, cages, bones in the symbol, bones in the shape of a symbol on the ground. It's a bunch of public property defamation, a bunch of public property vandalism. But when I asked them about that last week, listeners, they said, well, but we allowed them to do that. So I guess public property is fair game if they allow you to do that. Nothing in writing, just, yeah, go ahead, build your office on there. Put cages if you want. Who cares? It's only the taxpayer money. It's a shame. Regardless. So I learned about this case in my research trying to figure out why we can't have access to the court cases. I learned there was a court case done earlier this week, and let me pull up the individual's name here. 1 second there, listeners. Should be right around here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. So his name is Jeppe Jorgensen. So I heard, Jeppe Jorgensen, my apologies. I heard he had a court case where he filed a, something about mistreatment from the SASP. Supposedly how the story goes. Again, I can't read the actual court document because they like to keep that locked 600 levels underground where only liberals can get to. Because, you know, they like to be conniving. Sure do. Anyways, so what happened was, supposedly from a different source, Jeppe was arrested, put into a SASP vehicle with no wheels. The vehicle slid off a cliff into the ocean, and Jeppe spent almost 30 minutes underwater. Now, the water didn't fill the cab immediately, thankfully, which is how he survived. But basically, he was handcuffed, seatbelted in a patrol car with no wheels that slid off a cliff into the water, and it took 30 minutes for SASP to get in there, get him out, and thank God he survived. Thank God he survived, and the DOJ actually agreed. The DOJ agreed that this was gross misconduct on behalf of SASP and complete incompetence of how to handle someone in their custody. So they awarded Jeppe over $100,000 in damages because of what occurred. Now that, for one, Larry Lincoln listeners, is a win. I will say that. It's a win. And like I've said before on the show, I'm always on the side of law enforcement, have been my whole life. Even when way back in Liberty, where I used to do the show before I moved here, I got along great with all the Liberty City police officers. But I don't know what it is about this here city, and I think I'm starting to catch on. Probably because of the liberal politicians, the stranglehold they have on social media. You ever notice you can only interact with people who live here on Live Invader? It's like their own social media app, just trying to keep you in this bubble. You can't bring any money from your other bank accounts outside of this state. When you get here, they take your luggage from you, and you can only keep the shirt on your back. And on top of all that, if you got a car you were driving in here, they take that too and send it back where you came from. I've never seen such a government overreach, a government control. And not only that, it's extending as far as the media as well, which we all know, Larry Lincoln listeners, Revolutionary War was fought to get away from a system like this. But it seems for some reason this city, this island, this state wants us to go back to those oppressive times when our forefathers, our founding fathers, knew that they had to fight for their rights. And it's a shame to see the sad state that the government has put us in today. But moving on from that, we got a big win. A citizen who was grossly mistreated by this corrupt police department was able to get a win, get that money paid out. So, Larry Lincoln listeners, don't feel like you can't win. If something happened to you, if you think there was some wrongful conduct done by the police, take it to court. I feel like there may be a chance. It's hard for them to keep that covered. I mean, they can because it's still private. You can't get the information. But when they hold these open court hearings, it's hard to keep the public in the dark. So keep showing up, keep putting those injustices forward, and hopefully we can figure out a way to at least start getting a change, a proper change, with the police force here in this city. Now, cascading from that, I got to jump back over to the hospital again. I tried multiple times to reach out to the hospital and say, hey, I'm going to be going live with the story. I've learned a lot about how you all operate. And if I can't speak to the overseer, then I'm just going to move forward. And so, yeah, Larry Lincoln listeners, there's been a decline for comment from the hospital and TACMED. They have not wanted to speak with me. Other people have. But the overseer herself has not wanted to speak with me. So here's what I've learned so far, and we'll wrap up this story that I've been looking into for the past 3 weeks. So basically, I ran into Chloe Zard, the one who told me that TACMED doesn't care about locals because they're non-citizens, a couple weeks ago. And she told me that I misrepresented some information. And I said, oh, well, what did I misrepresent, Miss Zard? And she said, well, Larry, the hospital's not a private organization. It's a government one. Yeah, you heard it here first. The hospital is a government-run organization. So a government-run hospital is receiving taxpayer money to run, to pay, and to keep all of its employees in good order and in good standing. Now, as we know from looking at other countries, when there's government-run hospitals, usually that means health care is free because all the tax money is what funds to keep that hospital going. We've seen it many, many times. Most recently, or at least the best examples I can come up with, is in Canada. Now, socialism healthcare, some people I've talked to on the streets think that's a great idea. I, for one, think it's terrible. If you go into a healthcare system where it's free and anybody can access it, there is going to be so many people going in for who knows what, and it doesn't even matter. If it's free, why not take advantage of it? There's going to be so many people going in for appointments, people who don't even contribute to society, freeloading off the hard work and backs of us Americans just to get all these free procedures, making us wait and lose our loved ones. I heard a story one time. Somebody needed a surgery. It took them 6 months to get it scheduled. 6 months to get it scheduled because the waiting list was that long. But regardless, that's not all I was upset about when I learned that. I'm sure you all know the hospital also offers insurance. So not only are they getting tax dollars from all of us having to pay our taxes, they're also getting extra money on top of that by charging everybody for insurance and for procedures that comes in there. I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. I said, hold on a second. So you're telling me that the hospital gets tax money, charges for procedures and medications, and makes you pay for insurance? Larry Lincoln listeners, this might be the most well-funded government militia I have ever seen in my lifetime. In my lifetime, they're getting all this money. They're armed. They wear bulletproof vests. And from what I've seen, they can just do whatever the hell they want because they're doing medical care. It's this blanket umbrella leading to gross mistreatment of the goddamn citizens just trying to make a living in this here city. And it's a shame it's gotten this far. It's a shame that I wasn't able to get a comment from the person in charge. And I hope that we can get something changed with that. If it's going to be a government-run facility, they should not be charging all that. But to begin with, we need to get rid of it being a government-run facility. Make it privatized healthcare again. That's what I'll say. Now, Larry Lincoln listeners, we got a lot to cover today. There's many, many stories I have learned this week. There's a lot of moving parts in this liberal nightmare city. And we have some guests coming on as well. And again, the phone lines are always open, 555-9451 if you want to call in. So, listeners, we'll see you after the commercial break. We'll be right back with you. And thank you for listening to the Larry Lincoln Show. Larry Lincoln listeners, do I have something to share with you? Are you looking for a new car? Are you looking for good people, a good deal? And are you tired of trying to deal with all these liberals who want to sell you cars at overpriced markups with all these taxes and all this stuff where your money goes nowhere except for the no good, homeless, criminal, drug addicts who are ruining our town? Look no further than Apex Auto Sales, an official sponsor of the Larry Lincoln Show. And when you go, make sure to tell them Larry sent you. Larry Lincoln listeners, listen up because I have something to tell you. Have you ever had your car destroyed in an intersection by a crazy drug-induced liberal? Have you ever been on the side of the road wondering, what am I going to do? I don't know how to get help. Well, look no further, Larry Lincoln listeners. Harmony Repair is there for you. They're the official sponsor of the Larry Lincoln Show, and they'll be there for all your needs, and they'll be there way better, way more reliable than anything this liberal government will do for you. And why don't you tell them Larry sent you? Larry Lincoln listeners, do I have something good to tell you? Go Die Industries. Have you heard of them? Well, if you haven't, you should. Not only are they an official sponsor of the Larry Lincoln Show, they're a business offering a service unlike any other in this city. Go Die Industries will take your hard work, whatever it may be. They'll buy it from you at competitive prices, and you'll be able to circumvent all those taxes that those liberals are trying to put on the effort that you do to make a living. Go Die Industries. Be in your element. Have you had a long day dealing with a bunch of liberals? Are you just trying to put your mind at ease with some actual sensical thinking? Get yourself over to the Yellow Jack. Good people, good food, good drinks, and never a dull moment. Yellow Jack Inn, where if it ain't yellow, it ain't worth jack. Have you ever dreamed of sailing on a boat, perusing the nice waters of this great earth made by God? Well, let me tell you something. The State Department of Boats has plenty of boats that you can buy. Your heart's desire, whatever it may be, whatever your dream is, just like the American dream, this place can make your dreams a reality. But let me tell you something. It's something that the liberals don't want you to have. They want you to fill out all these forms, go through all these checklists, just so you can get a boat. But let me tell you something. If you're able to do it, go through the liberal policies until they can be gone, you'll have yourself the finest piece of watercraft that I've ever seen. So get yourself down there to the State Boat Department, find out how to do it, and tell them Larry sent you. Do you like comfort food? Do you like a coastal feel? Do you like both of those things together? Well, let me tell you, Tide and Table, located at the Del Perro Pier, is the place to be for comfort food and a coastal feel. They have a great selection, a great menu, good people working there, and I can tell you personally, the meatloaf is one of my favorites. Go to Tide and Table, where comfort meets coast. Larry Lincoln listeners, you're in the city, you need a repair, liberals are harming your prized, most valuable car. Where are you gonna go? Well, you're gonna go to Los Santos Customs. Los Santos Customs, located right there in the city of Los Santos, will get you fixed up right. They got a good workforce of good old patriots just trying to hold down the last frontier of being a patriot in the big city. And when you get there, tell them Larry sent you.
When you're stuck, don't stress at all. Play county toe and ready for your call.
Santa Trader's best here to save the day. We lift you up, going all the way. Lake County Towing,
We'll pull you through.
for all your towing needs.
We're here for you.
Luxury, security, transport. Larry Lincoln listeners, I'm introducing you to Buckingham, a service that puts your experience with those three things above anything else. And let me tell you, it is amazing. Have you ever wanted to fly high into the sky? And no, I don't mean with drugs like a liberal. I mean aboard a private plane. Have you ever wanted to peruse the actual patriotic countryside of this city without having to worry about any sort of liberal threats? Well, let me tell you, they have it here at Buckingham. Buckingham is the place to be, the place to go, the place to see. When you call them, tell them Larry sent ya. Injustice, tyranny, liberals. No matter what it is, Larry Lincoln listeners, there's somebody I want to introduce you to. Stella De La Muerte. She's a public defender, and she fights for the people, for their rights, and what they deserve. Nothing less. That's why I've chosen Stella De La Muerte to be the official legal representation of the Larry Lincoln Show, and let me tell you, you should too. She is the person for the job, and she will fight for your rights when none of these corrupt liberal politicians will do anything for you. So if you're in legal need, if you need some legal advice, no matter what it is, make sure to call Stella Della Muerte.
Get ready, here comes the plan. Larry Lincoln's rocking this land. Truth seekers is for the man. San Andreas, take a stand. Turn it up, loud and clear. Larry's voice over here. Rocking hard, spreading cheer. Truth's the sound, we don't care.
Larry Lincoln listeners, welcome back in to the Larry Lincoln Show. Goodness, never get tired of hearing all those things. It's quite the production we got going on here. Not to pat myself on my back and my producer over there. Shout out to you. Listeners, I got something to tell you now. Have you heard of this festival going on? It's been going on for 2 days now. Today's the second day. Festival of New Beginnings. Now, if you're following me on Life Invader and you're listening to the show, I'm sure you've seen the flyer, but if you haven't, let me post it real quick for you. So give me a second to get that done. So what you're going to see when you look at this flyer is, first off, for me, it was a big question mark that came into my head. I said, what the hell am I looking at? Now, if you look at it real closely, you can see that the Festival of New Beginnings has our flag, the San Andreas Republic, right next to the Canadian flag. Now, at first, you're like, okay, maybe the event organizers are from Canada or something like that. What's the connection? At least that's where my brain went. So, being the journalist, radio show host, and truth bearer, as I am, I went to find out for you, listeners, and what I found is absolutely concerning. Supposedly, when there was the Great Flood, maybe, I don't know, remember how long it was. It was before I moved in again, but maybe 4 months ago, 3 months ago, whenever the Great Flood was, I'm sure you all know. When the Great Flood happened, I was told by these people that it wiped out the entire reserves, the entire money, everything that the U.S. government has. So basically, the Canadian flag on this poster is signifying that because the U.S. completely ran out of money due to this flood, that Canada had to help us rebuild. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. So they're expecting all of us to believe that a flood that happened on an island on an opposite side of a country, they expect the flood waves that was so large that it spanned the entire United States, wiped out the economy, destroyed everything, and left the U.S. government in a complete disarray where they couldn't rebuild. Larry Lincoln listeners, if you've lived here for a long time, you may have not heard any national news lately because it's such an isolated bubble they keep us in here, this corrupt politicians. That's a goddamn lie. That is a goddamn lie. If you travel outside of Los Santos, everything's fine. I just moved in from Liberty 3 weeks ago. Liberty's still standing. There ain't nothing wrong there. Good Lord. What kind of false narrative, and how dumb do they think that the people that live here are to expect or to think that this would be the truth? They really think that us being a part of the United States, we got help from Canada to rebuild our city? They really expect us to think that the federal government was wiped out by a flood? Good God, Larry Lincoln listeners. Now, they may be controlling a lot of things, taxing us for everything that we own. But God, are they not smart? If they were smart, they would have come up with a way better solution than that. And if you ask me, it's actually making a lot of sense why they're saying that Canada helped us out. Now, bear with me here. If we're looking a little bit closer at what this really means, we were just talking earlier about how the government, or how the hospital is a government-run institution. So is it in Canada. Socialist healthcare, free for all, tax everybody for everything they own for the betterment of everyone. Doesn't matter if you don't contribute to society at all. Doesn't matter if you're a murderer. Doesn't matter if all you do is rob innocent people. Everybody gets the same access because everybody's paying into it. Golly, what a great place to live. Canada. Jesus Christ. Second of all, that must be the reason why they're cutting us off from everything. They're putting us in a bubble, Larry Lincoln listeners. We can only access social media within this city. We can't access any bank accounts out in the U.S. We can't even get our damn luggage off the plane when we move here. You only get the clothes on your back, and it's making a lot of sense to me now. They're trying to do something absolutely insane, Larry Lincoln listeners. And if you're seeing where the dominoes are falling based on what I've been saying, if you're following along the trail of one that I'm leading you on, I think you know exactly what I'm saying. This liberal government here is trying to secede from the U.S. They're trying to secede from the U.S. and become a Canadian territory. It all makes damn sense. No wonder they're rolling back all of our rights to the Second Amendment. So we can't fight back. They're trying to tax us for everything, so we're living in constant financial strain. The police don't care what's going on. They're trying to cull the population into an obedient one where, oh my God, we can't even survive because there's so many damn criminals taking over everything. I can't believe what I'm seeing, Larry Lincoln listeners. So don't let them hold you down. Don't let them try to secede from the U.S. Make sure you remember your duty as an American, the mission that your founding fathers went on to give us this great nation, and don't let the government take away our freedoms. I know I won't. I sure as hell know that I won't let them take away our freedoms. Every single Friday, I'll be on this show telling you the goddamn truth and sharing with you what the corrupt liberals won't, just like this story right here. Now, Larry Lincoln listeners, I've talked to the people in the DOJ many a times. Many a times. I had one of them who agreed to come on the show. I sent him a text earlier to check in. They haven't responded. So what we're going to do now is we're going to see if we can get him on the phone. But it seems like it was another false promise that the government made. So let's see what we can find out here, huh? Let's take a little look. Yep, sure is raining a while. Sounds like we're going to go to no answer. Okay. Not surprised at all, Larry Lincoln listeners. As you can hear in the background, the phone is still ringing. Nobody's answering. Nobody's home. This person in particular, his name's Rudy Chalk. He told me that he was an inquisitor of the Supreme Overlord. Yeah, you heard it right. I'm sure you've seen it on the official DOJ document. Let me hang up that phone. The goddamn ring is pissing me off. I'm sure you heard or seen on the government documents. The DOJ Chief Justice, Don Faley, he calls himself Supreme Overlord. Now, we're speaking a lot about the Revolutionary War today, but I remember a time in our country when we were controlled by the Supreme Overlords in England. And we had to fight for our freedoms with our 6'2" absolute monstrosity of a first president, George Washington. Could you imagine being someone from England coming here? You're like 5'6", maybe 5'2", back in that year. And you come into the U.S., you're walking around and getting ready to get into your line and shoot off. And you see a 6'2" guy coming out. He had wooden teeth, too, if you didn't know. 6'2" guy with wooden teeth coming out of the woods and just start shooting you and stabbing. That's goddamn American patriotism right there. That is goddamn American patriotism. So, regardless, here's the thing. I'm trying to get in contact with the DOJ. They said they would put some comments onto the show today to try to clear the air of all the things they've done. But it seems that they don't wish to do so. It seems they wish to just stay in their little bubble, collect their tax dollars, and do whatever the hell they want in this city. Do whatever the hell they want. So that means it's up to us to hold them accountable, Larry Lincoln listeners. And for one, if you do have something happen to you, contact Stella. Contact Stella. We just heard her advertisement just a moment ago. Stella Della Morte. She is fantastic. She's got the energy, the fire, and the spirit of a true American to try to get those rights back for us. So please do give her a call. I will say that. She's the official representation of the Larry Lincoln Show. Moving on. Well, let's see what else we got here. Since he's going to put me on not answering, let me see if I can get a call from someone else. This is another judge over at the DOJ. Let's see if we can surprise him with a call. Completely unscheduled. Let's see if they're available. Another endless raining, Larry Lincoln listeners. Are we surprised? I'm sure not. I'm sure not surprised at all. So let me run you through a story. Before the outbreak, I was telling you how I went down to City Hall multiple times this week to try to figure out why there is no public record access. You can't go down to the City Hall. You can't see anything to do with public records. It's all locked behind a wall where you can't get to it whatsoever. So I actually ran into the Chief Justice in person, and I thought, hey, let me ask him what he has to say about that. So thankfully I was recording. Let's take a little listen in here. I have a problem. Hold on a second. Wrong one. Fantastic. I'm really good at keeping it quick. So basically I'm wondering why the court case records, once they're done, someone's playing music in the background, put into the records, are not available for public consumption. Nobody knows what's happening. Nobody knows the verdicts or nothing like that.
No idea. Next question.
Yeah, you heard that right. That was Supreme Overlord, his own words. Don Faley saying, no idea. Next question. To a citizen just trying to find out knowledge that should be publicly available. Now, if we're continuing down the falling dominoes, the trail, the metaphorical trip that we're taking, not drug-related, liberals, the metaphorical trip that we're taking, it seems to me that not only are they controlling the media, controlling our money, taxing us for everything we own, keeping us in a constant state of fear due to the under-policing and over-policing of innocence, they also don't want us to know what's happening in the justice system. They don't want us to know what's happening at all. They want to keep us in the dark. They want to lock us in a room. They want to have no windows, no lights on, and just a teeny slit in the door where they can feed you all the lies they want in return for your money and your obedience, basically. They want to control you, Larry Lincoln listeners. They want to take everything you know, everything you love, and they want to crush it, rebuild it, reshape it into a podium where it says liberal on it, and then you get on your knees in front of it and say, yes, liberal, I am one too. Whatever you say, whatever you want, I will do that. Yeah, it's like that old reference. If I say jump, you say how high, right? Good God, that's where the goddamn state's going to. Don't let it happen, Larry Lincoln listeners. Don't let it happen. We're going to be going into our next ad break here, and then I got a personal story for you of something that happened earlier this week with BCSO. Oh, goodness. BCSO, they have some issues there, Lincoln listeners. We'll get to it right after the break. We'll see you soon. Larry Lincoln listeners, do I have something to share with you? Are you looking for a new car? Are you looking for good people, a good deal? And are you tired of trying to deal with all these liberals who want to sell you cars at overpriced markups with all these taxes and all this stuff where your money goes nowhere except for the no good, homeless, criminal, drug addicts who are ruining our town? Look no further than Apex Auto Sales, an official sponsor of the Larry Lincoln Show. And when you go, make sure to tell them Larry sent you. Larry Lincoln listeners, listen up, because I have something to tell you. Have you ever had your car destroyed in an intersection by a crazy, drug-induced liberal? Have you ever been on the side of the road wondering, what am I going to do? I don't know how to get help. Well, look no further, Larry Lincoln listeners. Harmony Repair is there for you. They're the official sponsor of the Larry Lincoln Show, and they'll be there for all your needs, and they'll be there way better, way more reliable than anything this liberal government will do for you. And why don't you tell them Larry sent you? Larry Lincoln listeners, do I have something good to tell you? Go Die Industries. Have you heard of them? Well, if you haven't, you should. Not only are they an official sponsor of the Larry Lincoln Show, they're a business offering a service unlike any other in this city. Go Die Industries will take your hard work, whatever it may be. They'll buy it from you at competitive prices, and you'll be able to circumvent all those taxes that those liberals are trying to put on the effort that you do to make a living. Go Die Industries. Be in your element. Have you had a long day dealing with a bunch of liberals? Are you just trying to put your mind at ease with some actual sensical thinking? Get yourself over to the Yellow Jack. Good people, good food, good drinks, and never a dull moment. Yellow Jack Inn, where if it ain't yellow, it ain't worth jack. Have you ever dreamed of sailing on a boat, perusing the nice waters of this great earth made by God? Well, let me tell you something. The State Department of Boats has plenty of boats that you can buy. Your heart's desire, whatever it may be, whatever your dream is, just like the American dream, this place can make your dreams a reality. But let me tell you something. It's something that the liberals don't want you to have. They want you to fill out all these forms, go through all these checklists, just so you can get a boat. But let me tell you something. If you're able to do it, go through the liberal policies until they can be gone, you'll have yourself the finest piece of watercraft that I've ever seen. So get yourself down there to the State Boat Department, find out how to do it, and tell them Larry sent you. Do you like comfort food? Do you like a coastal feel? Do you like both of those things together? Well, let me tell you, Tide and Table, located at the Del Perro Pier, is the place to be for comfort food and a coastal feel. They have a great selection, a great menu, good people working there, and I can tell you personally, the meatloaf is one of my favorites. Go to Tide and Table, where comfort meets coast. Larry Lincoln listeners, you're in the city, you need a repair, liberals are harming your prized, most valuable car. Where are you gonna go? Well, you're gonna go to Los Santos Customs. Los Santos Customs, located right there in the city of Los Santos, will get you fixed up right. They got a good workforce of good old patriots just trying to hold down the last frontier of being a patriot in the big city. And when you get there, tell them Larry sent you.
When you're stuck, don't stress at all. Play County Towing, ready for your call.
San Andreas best here to save the day. We lift you up, going all the way. Lake County Towing, we'll pull you through for all your towing needs. We're here for you.
Luxury, security, transport. Larry Lincoln listeners, I'm introducing you to Buckingham, a service that puts your experience with those three things above anything else. And let me tell you, it is amazing. Have you ever wanted to fly high into the sky? And no, I don't mean with drugs like a liberal. I mean aboard a private plane. Have you ever wanted to peruse the actual patriotic countryside of this city without having to worry about any sort of liberal threats? Well, let me tell you, they have it here at Buckingham. Buckingham is the place to be, the place to go, the place to see. When you call them, tell them Larry sent ya. Injustice, tyranny, liberals. No matter what it is, Larry Lincoln listeners, there's somebody I want to introduce you to. Stella Della Muerte. She's a public defender, and she fights for the people, for their rights, and what they deserve. Nothing less. That's why I've chosen Stella Della Muerte to be the official legal representation of the Larry Lincoln Show, and let me tell you, you should too. She is the person for the job, and she will fight for your rights when none of these corrupt liberal politicians will do anything for you. So if you're in legal need, if you need some legal advice, no matter what it is, make sure to call Stella Della Muerte.
Quiet, please. Ladies and gentlemen. You ready for the big show? In exactly 15 seconds, we'll be on the air.
Larry. This is the Larry Lincoln Show.
What has happened to America? What has happened to democracy? What has happened to freedom?
Honestly provocative talk radio with Larry Lincoln.
This country was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by a bunch of idiots.
Broadcasting across the United States of America and based in Los Santos.
You can laugh over my liberal tears.
That great moment every day where Larry brings you the cold, hard facts without any liberal wokeness from the Daily Dead Fish Wrapper or mainstream media bias.
University, plaguing people's minds with indoctrination.
Now, here's your host, Larry Lincoln. Larry Lincoln listeners, welcome back in to the Larry Lincoln Show. Hope you've been enjoying your time, enjoying your day, and trying your best to make the most of your life in this corrupt, left-wing, liberal-run city we all live in called Los Santos. God bless it. Hopefully, Jesus can die for our sins again, metaphorically, in a way to cleanse us from the liberal nightmare and wake us back up to the American dream. Amen to that. But regardless, jumping into the next story, Larry Lincoln listeners, Have you ever met a Blaine County Sheriff's deputy by the name of Dakilla? They got blue hair, kind of sound like it got an accent, glasses. Maybe you haven't, maybe you have. Anyways, so I met this sheriff or deputy named Dakilla when I was at Casey's Diner over in Blaine County. They got blue hair, so I said, "Hey, is that like a hair dye or something, or what you got going on?" And they looked at me and they said, "Well, actually, it's all natural." Oh, Larry Lincoln listeners, you can't write this stuff. Like literally, you can't come up with it. I don't even think a children's book author could come up with making blue hair actually natural. So, being the intelligent man I am, I said, "Okay, so I know that's not possible scientifically. So, why are you lying?" And she said, "Well, no, it's natural. I was born with blue hair." And I said, "Good God." I said, you're telling me you were born with blue hair even though it's scientifically impossible to be born with blue hair?" And then she's like, "Yeah, that's right." And I said, "Okay, good God." So, good to know you're liberal, first off, because they love to believe in the impossible too. Larry Lincoln listeners, don't even get me started on botany psychology again. No, I'm not talking about those two words separate. I'm talking about them together, the thoughts and plans. Anyways, so I asked her, "So your name's Dakilla?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, what? How did you get that name? What's the story behind that?" She said, "Well, my grandfather was a serial killer." And I said, "Oh, all right." And she's like, "Yeah, and I like to kill people too." What the hell? You're a sheriff's deputy and you like to kill people too? She said, "Well, yeah." Good, Larry Lincoln listeners. You can't make this stuff up. Who's in charge of hiring people to this position to protect and serve our communities and uphold the Constitution? Who wants to violate it and violate our laws? Who knows? Honestly, I don't even know anymore. It doesn't make no sense. So I left her. I said, "Okay, well, there's no getting through this hard nutshell of craziness and nonsense." So I left, drove down Route 68, got ran into by this two-door sedan with pink underglow going about 80 miles per hour, completely took out my car. So I drove down the road because I saw a deputy's car who didn't do anything. Guess who was in the driver's seat? Dakilla. Walked up to her, said, "Hey, did you not see that vehicle going 80 down Route 68, completely slam into my vehicle?" And she said, "No, I didn't see that." And I said, Okay, so you didn't see that vehicle that just went down the road, slammed into me, injured me?" And she said, "No, but that's sure unlucky." Unlucky is what she said. After describing to her a crime that was committed against me, after injuries that were caused to me, someone who is supposed to take this position to protect the community and be there for the people looked at me and said, "Unlucky." Didn't take a report. Didn't even note down my statement. Nothing. After I called her out for saying such an incompassionate and completely against the professionalism I would expect from a law enforcement officer, she got in her vehicle and drove off. Got in her vehicle and just drove off. But that's not even one of the worst interactions I had. The worst interaction I've had with law enforcement in this city was yesterday. I went over to Blaine County Sheriff's Office just to see what I could find out, and I noticed a bunch of sheriff's deputies jumping on the patrol vehicles in the back parking lot. So I said, "What the hell are you doing over there, damaging all those tax dollar funded patrol vehicles?" And they looked at me and they said, "These aren't taxpayer funded." I said, "What?" I said, "They're not taxpayer funded. How the hell are you getting money then?" And they said, "Well, we get all of our money from citations and fines." Yeah, you heard that right, Larry Lincoln listeners. Citations and fines. That's all they do there in the Blaine County Sheriff's Office. They don't get any money from our taxes. So all that money we're paying into taxes, it's not for our protection. It's not for upholding the law. It's going to who knows where. There's no financial statements. There's no audits. It's all going to the void. It's all going to the void of the liberals' pockets. Honestly, it's all just going into the liberals' pockets. It's going for nothing in the community. Nothing in the community at all. So, and then I asked, so, okay, you don't receive any taxpayer funds to run your department. It's all based on citations and fines. Do you take an oath? Are you sworn police officer? And they said, well, actually, no, I got to hold on to that one. I'll just tell you this. They looked at me and they said, "No, we don't. Why would we?" I couldn't believe my damn ears, Larry Lincoln listeners. I couldn't believe my damn ears. Someone who has a badge, has a gun, wears government uniform to be a sheriff's deputy, blatantly told me that they do not take an oath to become a deputy. They don't take an oath to uphold the Constitution. They don't take an oath to protect and serve the citizens. They told me all they do at Blaine County is obey and survive. They don't give a shit about any of us. They don't care about the citizens that live here. All they care about is making their money. It is one of the most crazy, horrendous, and unjust statements I've ever heard. But I did ask if any of the deputies would like to come on the show, and I could ask him some questions. So I did get a contact from one of them. His name's Deputy Bloom. Now, much like the DOJ, maybe he won't answer, but we'll try. Let's give him a call. Yeah, just raining. You know, Larry Lincoln listeners, I'm starting to sense a pattern. It seems everybody in these government positions refuses to be there for comment, does horrendous things in person, and then they expect there to be no accountability for the injustices, overstepping, over-policing, over-control, whatever you want to call it. I call it a plain violation of our rights in our amendments, our Constitution, even our state laws, albeit very few. It's a shame. It sure is a shame. It's a shame to know that we live in a place where the government cares more about lining their pockets with our money than caring about our safety. It seems you try to call people in the DOJ who agree to come on the show, and they just don't want to. They probably think about it. They probably get told by those people who never reveal themselves to us, those ones at the top, don't go on the show. Don't do it at all. The truth must not get out. So, Larry Lincoln listeners, remember, never believe a word they say. Always question their actions, and always stick up for your God-given American rights. Always stick up for those God-given American rights. Now, I wanted to move on to something else that I learned. I'm sure all of you have seen this as well on Life Invader, but have you seen all these people in prison have their phones and post on Life Invader? They get on Life Invader while they're in custody, incarcerated, and they post all these crazy things. I just saw one the other day. This woman was not wearing a prison uniform at all. She was just wearing complete lingerie inside the cells. And it's not women's and male's prison or anything like that, Larry Lincoln listeners. They have these people who commit crimes in our city in cohabitation. Cohabitation. So basically, you commit a crime, you do something horrible, you go into a cohabitated unit. I saw in another picture, they got a hot tub in there. And all you do is you relax for a while, get in the hot tub, get naked, wear lingerie, kill other inmates. They've also posted a picture of killing other inmates, his bloody corpse on the floor. And then you get back out and you're free. And you do it all over again. I don't know who gave the idea that that was a good idea, but I did learn today something about maybe why it is the way that it is. I learned that the payphones inside of this facility don't work. There's no way at all to contact your legal representation, contact your friends, your family, while inside the prison. Now, that's something I advocate for. It's something I believe in. You definitely should not be cut off from contacting the outside world. But I will say this. It can't be to the extent that they have now. Being able to take your phone inside of a secure facility is going to lead to a lot of problems. There's a reason they don't allow it in every facility across these great states, but for some reason, they allow it here. You can get on social media, do whatever the hell you want. You can take pictures, send photos, call people at will without it being recorded. You could orchestrate a whole lot of bad from inside of the facility. Even an escape, if you wanted to. I mean, goddamn, we ain't recording nothing. You just bring in your personal phone and that's it. But what I'm looking for, Larry Lincoln listeners, is there needs to be some changes with the justice system, with the DOJ, with how people are incarcerated. They should not have access to their whole phones, and I know a lot of you would probably agree with me in that regard. They should get access to their payphone to call an attorney, call their friends, call their family. But when you're on a payphone in a secure facility, at least it's being monitored. Because at this point, given the amount of crime in this city, given the amount of, honestly none of it going on, but the amount of people who actually return to the city and change their life for the better, I think it's almost zero. I don't think it's a good idea. It seems when you send people to prison, you give them a phone, you give them a hot tub, you give them cohabitation. They ain't learning their lesson. How about that? Who would have thought, Larry Lincoln listeners? Who would have thought if you commit a crime, you do something horrible, you go to prison, you get a hot tub, you get to still live with the opposite gender, and you get to do whatever the hell you want? It doesn't matter. You don't mind going to prison. It's almost like a vacation, free, because it's paid with the taxpayer's dime. It's a shame. It sure is a damn shame what it's come to. But before moving on, well, I guess moving on in general, I received a message from one of you listeners out there, and I just want to share the story for all of you to hear. So I won't reveal your name, sir, but he messaged the show and he said this. He said, Mr. Lincoln, thank you for exposing the liberal threats in our healthcare system. Sergey has a big story. Oh, well, Sergey, you said it yourself. Sergey has a big story that happened to him. Sergey and his cousin were in a horrible accident, almost died on Route 68. They went to the hospital right there on Route 68, and there was 5 medical staff and 1 doctor. As they were bleeding out, he heard the medical staff say to his uncle that was taking... Jesus Christ, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble following here. Say to my uncle that was taking us after the ambulance did not respond. And guess what they tell Sergey? Sir, the hospital is closed. Can you go die somewhere else, please? And they were just standing in a circle talking while I was dying. Terrible liberal mindset. As easy as you say, Larry, these people do not care for us. Love the show. Well, thank you so much for that message, and it is a gut-wrenching story and a very poor reflection on the state of our society, where if you go into a hospital with life-threatening injuries, they won't even treat you. They don't give a shit. They tell you to go die somewhere else. Now, what the hell kind of statement is that? You know, and it may sound crazy for that to be a true statement. I'm sure a lot of you would be like, the hell? Is that real? But I can assure you it is. When I talked to TACMED about why they don't treat locals, I'm sure you've seen a lot of their dead bodies littered around the street, they told me that locals aren't citizens. Yeah, not citizens. They somehow expected me to believe that the people who drive all these vehicles give us money for doing all these random tasks around town, even sell us furniture in some spots, are not people. But I digress. We got a caller. Let's take it. This is Larry Lincoln. Welcome to the Larry Lincoln Show.
Hey there, Larry. It's me, Harold. I got
Hey, Harold.
a story regarding the hospitals, and I think you might want to hear.
Oh, I would love to. Please go ahead.
So the other day, I can't remember what had sent me to the hospital. I think I fell off like a mountain or something.
Mhm.
That's not important. Point is, I'm sitting there laying in the hospital bed, both my legs completely shattered, and you will never guess what the doctors were asking me at that time. Sir, do you want insurance?
Oh, good Lord.
And they just kept going on about insurance. I just kept saying, no, I would like you to just bill me and leave. And they said, well, first we need to know if you want insurance. And I was just laying there for like 10 minutes before they actually did anything.
That is a shame, Harold. I'm so sorry to hear that. And again, like I was saying earlier on the show, they're a government entity. They shouldn't need to be charging for insurance in the current socialist way they do healthcare in the state.
It's crazy. And that's if half the time I just haven't had them show up for me half the time.
I'm not surprised.
Usually, I don't know why, but usually it's only if there's guns involved. If I'm shot, then they'll show up. Anything else? Nope. You'll never see them.
Yeah, I think that's because for some reason, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but when they came to get you, they're always showing up back to the nines with weapons.
Oh, every time.
Every single time. And when I asked them about it, Harold, when I asked them on the spot, I said, why do you roll around with weapons? And I'm going to throw it all the way back to when they had class 3s. I said, why did you have class 3s when the people can't? And they said, well, we're afraid of getting robbed and losing our equipment. Can you believe that?
Then, I mean, I can believe it, but like, that's the cop's job.
It's the cop's job. And what about us? What about if we're getting our belongings robbed? We're getting our cars stolen. We're not allowed to carry class 3s, but the government lets them?
It's crazy.
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
There needs to be a complete restructuring of the healthcare system. Rip it away from the government's hands. Return it to the people. privatize it and allow there to be competition instead of one hospital running everything and making it the way they want, only treating who they want to, as they said they can refuse treatment, which is unheard of to me.
I never even knew that was an option, thankfully. I wish I kept it that way. That's a terrifying thought there.
Yeah, I mean, we got, what, 2 hospitals in this state now, and they're both being run by the same government-run hospital, being led by someone who won't even talk to me, and who calls themselves an overseer. Who does that?
It's messed up. It should be just the American way. Have competition. Let the market work it all out.
Exactly. I think that would really bring prices down, and if anything, make it even cheaper. Cut our taxes that we're paying for the hospital, then we can have a competitive market to get some insurance. Not both at the same time.
But Larry, I didn't call you for all positive things. Larry, I'm a big fan of you, but there's one thing I gotta disagree with you with.
Oh, please, go ahead.
You are actively against newcomers to the city getting the free $500, correct?
What I'm against is newcomers to the city getting free $500 off the backs of all of us. We have to pay taxes for them to get that money. And above all that, all these people coming in, they have money before they even come here, but for some reason, our government chooses to cut everyone off who lives here from their bank accounts all across this country, wherever they move from, and only allows them to make money here and keep money here.
I'm agreeing with you on that, but the $500 thing, I gotta disagree with you. If anything, I don't know if that's enough to, like, if they're gonna give us any money, it would have to be more. Do you know what you can do with $500?
Oh, I
Not
sure
much,
do.
I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even afford a bike for $500.
Well, that's a whole nother problem in itself, Harold. That's
It's-
the absorbent amount of inflation that's going on in this city as well.
don't even
$150
get me
for a
started on
burger,
that.
fries, and 2 slushies?
Oh dear God, it's I don't.
So
It's
here's
an
where I
issue.
think it could be better. Now, free $500 is not the solution. Upping that money isn't the solution either, Harold. The solution is to take away the $500, return that taxes that are being taken to us to the people, and have more accessible job opportunities. It is extremely hard to find a way to make a living in the city, a sustainable way of living, and it seems a lot of people turn to just finding random people on the street to do odd jobs for to find a way to start off. I, for one, think there should be a job center at the hotel. So as soon as people come into this city, they can find a way to get started on some good positive work. And for one, I would recommend some goddamn garbage cleanup. There are so many liberals littering our streets, putting all this trash and drug needles all over. Why not have people who come in, want to make a living, get off their feet, be able to start off in a good profession to clean up our town? How about that?
You know what? That's not a bad idea. I would be okay with that. I would agree with that, honestly.
100%. Well, Harold, hey, always a pleasure, and always thank you for the love on the show. Always good to have a Larry Lincoln listener come in.
All right, toodle pip there, Larry. Stay safe.
You too, Harold. You take care now. Goddamn great listener, good patriot, and great question. Great question as well. It's one that I think a lot of people get confused on too, because if they're going to start us off with $500, that's going to become the normal for a lot of people. They're going to expect it and expect more. But here's the thing, that's what they want. That's what this corrupt government wants. They want you to become so dependent on free money from them that you can't think of any other way to make your own path in this country. They're trying to erase the American dream from everybody's goddamn life, and they're trying to replace it with another dream where all you need to do is rely on them. Believe in them, trust them, they'll fund your life. But will they? I mean, we've seen a lot of times where they don't. All they do is take. They take money from you in taxes if you try to start a business. They take money from you in taxes when you buy anything. It's all going back to what I've been harping on. This government wants to control us. They want to take away all of our freedoms, keep us in a bubble, so we could do whatever the hell they want. And it is a damn shame. Larry Lincoln listeners, we're going into an ad break, and we got another great story for you coming up next. We got a special guest coming on too, so stay tuned. We'll see you back here very soon. Larry Lincoln listeners, do I have something to share with you? Are you looking for a new car? Are you looking for good people, a good deal? And are you tired of trying to deal with all these liberals who want to sell you cars at overpriced markups with all these taxes and all this stuff where your money goes nowhere except for the no good, homeless, criminal, drug addicts who are ruining our town? Look no further than Apex Auto Sales, an official sponsor of the Larry Lincoln Show. And when you go, make sure to tell them Larry sent you. Larry Lincoln listeners, listen up, because I have something to tell you. Have you ever had your car destroyed in an intersection by a crazy drug-induced liberal? Have you ever been on the side of the road wondering, what am I going to do? I don't know how to get help. Well, look no further, Larry Lincoln listeners. Harmony Repair is there for you. They're the official sponsor of the Larry Lincoln Show, and they'll be there for all your needs, and they'll be there way better, way more reliable than anything this liberal government will do for you. And why don't you tell them Larry sent you? Larry Lincoln listeners, do I have something good to tell you? Go Die Industries. Have you heard of them? Well, if you haven't, you should. Not only are they an official sponsor of the Larry Lincoln Show, they're a business offering a service unlike any other in this city. Go Die Industries will take your hard work, whatever it may be. They'll buy it from you at competitive prices, and you'll be able to circumvent all those taxes that those liberals are trying to put on the effort that you do to make a living. Go Die Industries. Be in your element. Have you had a long day dealing with a bunch of liberals? Are you just trying to put your mind at ease with some actual sensical thinking? Get yourself over to the Yellow Jack. Good people, good food, good drinks, and never a dull moment. Yellow Jack Inn, where if it ain't yellow, it ain't worth jack. Have you ever dreamed of sailing on a boat, perusing the nice waters of this great earth made by God? Well, let me tell you something. The State Department of Boats has plenty of boats that you can buy. Your heart's desire, whatever it may be, whatever your dream is, just like the American dream, this place can make your dreams a reality. But let me tell you something. It's something that the liberals don't want you to have. They want you to fill out all these forms, go through all these checklists, just so you can get a boat. But let me tell you something. If you're able to do it, go through the liberal policies until they can be gone, you'll have yourself the finest piece of watercraft that I've ever seen. So get yourself down there to the State Boat Department, find out how to do it, and tell them Larry sent you. Do you like comfort food? Do you like a coastal feel? Do you like both of those things together? Well, let me tell you, Tide and Table, located at the Del Perro Pier, is the place to be for comfort food and a coastal feel. They have a great selection, a great menu, good people working there, and I can tell you personally, the meatloaf is one of my favorites. Go to Tide and Table, where comfort meets coast. Larry Lincoln listeners, you're in the city, you need a repair, liberals are harming your prized, most valuable car. Where are you gonna go? Well, you're gonna go to Los Santos Customs. Los Santos Customs, located right there in the city of Los Santos, will get you fixed up right. They got a good workforce of good old patriots just trying to hold down the last frontier of being a patriot in the big city. And when you get there, tell them Larry sent you.
When you're stuck, don't stress at all. Play County Toe and ready for your call.
San Andreas best here to save the day. We lift you up, going all the way. Lake County Towing,
We'll pull you through.
for all your towing needs.
We're here for you.
Luxury, security, transport. Larry Lincoln listeners, I'm introducing you to Buckingham, a service that puts your experience with those three things above anything else. And let me tell you, it is amazing. Have you ever wanted to fly high into the sky? And no, I don't mean with drugs like a liberal. I mean aboard a private plane. Have you ever wanted to peruse the actual patriotic countryside of this city without having to worry about any sort of liberal threats? Well, let me tell you, they have it here at Buckingham. Buckingham is the place to be, the place to go, the place to see. When you call them, tell them Larry sent ya. Injustice, tyranny, liberals. No matter what it is, Larry Lincoln listeners, there's somebody I want to introduce you to. Stella Della Morte. She's a public defender, and she fights for the people, for their rights, and what they deserve. Nothing less. That's why I've chosen Stella Della Morte to be the official legal representation of the Larry Lincoln Show, and let me tell you, you should too. She is the person for the job, and she will fight for your rights when none of these corrupt liberal politicians will do anything for you. So if you're in legal need, if you need some legal advice, no matter what it is, make sure to call Stella Della Morte.
Get ready, here comes the plan. Larry Lincoln's rocking this land. Truth seekers expose the man. San Andreas, take a stand. Turn it up, loud and clear. Larry's voice, over here. Rocking hard, spreading cheer. Truth's the sound, we hope here.
Larry Lincoln listeners, welcome back into the Larry Lincoln Show. During the ad break, we got a call. So before we have... Hold on a second. Okay, perfect. Never mind. So before we have our special guest come on the show, we're going to give them a call back and see what they have to say.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? It's Larry Lincoln.
Hello, Mr. Lincoln. How are you?
Doing great. How'd you call into the show? Thought we'd give you a call back before we get into the next segment. What you got?
Nothing. I saw your show and realized I probably don't want to be on.
Why is that? Are you a liberal?
Yeah, I am.
Goodness
Proud to be.
me. Proud to
Proud to
be a
be.
liberal. What about being a
Yeah.
liberal makes you proud?
My values.
Values.
My values.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you like free money.
No, I don't agree with universal income. Not at all.
You like free healthcare.
I think there could be aspects of it, but there are parts of it that upset me. Yes.
You like free housing.
Not at all. I've worked for the houses that I have bought, and I don't think housing should be free.
Do you like the fact that the liberal judges have used our taxpayer dollars to buy a submarine?
Could you say that one more time?
Oh, our liberal judges have used our taxpayer dollars to buy a submarine.
There need to be changes in the government. I very much do agree with that, but as it stands, I'll let you know a little bit about myself.
Yeah, go ahead,
Mr.
please.
Larry. I worked for the previous administration, Governor Tony, Fat Tony.
Oh, I know him
was a
very well.
Yes, I was a pivotal part in his administration. And this is a police-run state. This isn't an opinion. This is a fact.
That's the damn truth.
What happened under his administration is we tried to make changes, and the judges basically informed us, we make the decisions, not you. So as far as his administration went, we kind of had our hands tied and were told to unlock a door, basically, which was pretty much impossible. But, we tried to do the best we could.
That's pretty much what I thought happened when I was looking into everything going on in this city. It seems like no matter what, kind of push there is for something that might
Did you
be
know
right.
Tony was a liberal? Did you know that?
He's a liberal?
He gave out free money.
Free money? I had no clue.
He gave out free money. What do you?
Free money, wow.
He gave out plenty of grants to businesses, to people.
A
Paid
lot
off
of
people's
people have come up
debts.
to me and then they said, Larry, why does everything cost so much? I think I'm starting to see why.
This is a previous administration. There's currently no governor, but he was a liberal. Seemed like you
Goodness
had
me.
possibly a fond memory
Goodness
of.
me.
There's a lot of liberals. You know that? Not many conservatives.
Not many conservatives, and I think that's why the control of the liberal government's being so easily accepted around here. I mean, first off, they're taking away our right to communicate with others outside of the city. No way to call, no way to get on social media to talk to anybody. It's all inside this bubble. When you come here, you can't access your bank accounts from outside the state. It's only money you make and are given inside this bubble. And when you get here, they confiscate your luggage, your possessions. They give you a free $500, a phone, some food, a map, a hotel key, and say, here you go. That's all you get, and the clothes on your back. This is the kind of liberal state you want us to live in?
I have made a life for myself here, and I'm quite happy. Have
Goodness
you?
gracious. Oh, my God.
I have. I've made pretty good money. I
So you're
have two
happy
homes.
inside a room with no windows, the lights are off, and the liberals keep telling you whatever they want through the door, and you say,
I'm
"Okay,
not talking
sounds
about a
good."
hotel. I bought two homes, one in Mirror Park and one in the South Side. Well, it's a rental property, but
How'd you make all that money, if I may ask?
working a business. I own Pizza This, sir.
Oh, you own Pizza This.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I didn't catch your name too. What was it?
I don't feel too comfortable providing that. You know,
Okay.
your listeners sound kind of like, on the fringe of society. I don't want to be hurt.
Fringe of society. Wow, that's what you think of patriots, do you?
You scare me. I'll be honest. You scare me. There's a term
Scare?
radical.
Radical? No, not radical at all. I think what's radical is what's going on in this here state, where they're slowly cutting back all the freedoms of the Second Amendment, not allowing us to communicate with anyone else in the country, and now they're trying to put forth this lie that when the flood happened, Canada's the only one who helped us rebuild, and for some reason the United States government is completely out of money.
That sounds just about right with when I left
Just
the
about
US.
right.
Sounds just about right.
Good Lord, they really do have you. They really do have you. Well, here's the thing. I'm always going to preach the truth all the time, always going to try to put it out there. And if you don't believe it now, I hope you do at some point. I really do.
You have a good day, Mr. Larry. It was nice talking with you.
Yeah, it sure was. If you ever see Tony, tell him hi, even though he's a liberal. Alrighty then. That was very enlightening. Very enlightening. Okay. Well, anyways, Larry Lincoln listeners, let's get to our next guest. Scuzzy. Let's see here. Scuzzy's running for governor. Gonna have him on the show.
Hello.
Hey there, Scuzzy. It's Larry Lincoln, the Larry Lincoln Show. How the hell are you doing?
I'm doing mighty fine, honestly, Larry. I have been doing better before, but I got no complaints, honestly.
Yeah, no, great to have you on the show. And I was telling the listeners earlier before you came on, I'm trying to get everybody running for governor on the show at some point. And it's great to have you on as the first guest.
I appreciate the offer extended out to me, and I was definitely grateful to accept it.
Oh, I really do appreciate that, Scuzzy. And, I don't want to start off with something negative, but would you mind telling the listeners a little bit what's happening with Uwu?
I think that's a good idea, getting the elephant out of the room and everything. What I can disclose is that there were 3 owners, myself, Zach, and Mia. We were the actual owners of the place. We had investors that wanted to be co-owners of it. One of them being a man named Mr. Klaus Elijah. From what I understand, while I was gone, he was on the roof and was dismantling the AC units that are provided by the state from the leased building. So he was out, and then so he was waiting for the state to repair them, and then just dismantling them again. So he was obviously caught. I guess a local somebody saw somebody up on the roof and they phoned it in. He was arrested and charged with felony fraud.
Good Lord.
There was a bench trial done immediately after his arrest. The lawyer that he was given, he was awful, absolutely awful. I mean, this guy didn't know objections. He was, I think he barely got his bar license. I don't know how he had his bar license, but he got absolutely steamrolled because he didn't even really know what he was doing. Like the judge really actually wanted to help him. He was really bad, and I feel like Yackel actually was pretty fair. Like, just based on the information that was given, he ruled that pretty well. And I know he gets a lot of shit, but based on the information at hand, the guy fucking did it. You know what I mean? So, like, what else is there to it? You know what I mean? So
So here's the thing: are you going to be able to get Uwu back, or?
Absolutely not. Even though I haven't been charged with a crime, and was completely
Wow.
ignorant to the fact of this guy's wrongdoings, my freedoms have been taken.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then just to give the listeners a little extra context, I took I saved it to my camera roll. That seems the DOJ is putting posts on social media, posing in front of Uwu doing a thumbs up. Have you seen those?
Well, that's the thing that actually really stung was.
Yeah, I'm going to post it now for the listeners to look at. Go ahead.
Yeah. When Judge Yackel made his verdict, they all cheered and clapped, like they were taking down some drug
Good God.
kingpin,
Jesus Christ.
But they were, from my point of view, they were just taking my baby away from me, so
Yeah.
that was a definite blow that I had to take. And I understand from their point of view, they had won, so I understand the celebration. It was just painful. So that
I, for one, don't understand the celebration. A celebration of taking away a grassroots business, just trying to add a service to the community, be there for the people. And you're not only offering food, you're also offering the company of all those cats. It wasn't just one thing. It's a shame that they're taking pride in that. I just don't agree.
I definitely, I'm trying to be, calm and I'm trying to take like a humble approach on it, because
Oh, for sure.
there's really nothing more I can do. I did have this guy that I brought into my circle, and he royally fucked me, and it's really on him. It really is.
I'm sorry to hear that, Scuzzy. Really am.
Yeah.
I won't dread on it too long, but I do appreciate you sharing that story with us. And listeners, the fight is not over. I'm always going to be talking about the injustices done all the time by the people who call themselves justices, and we'll see what we can figure out and bring to light what they got working on behind the scenes. But regardless, the main reason we brought Scuzzy on today is talking about his bid for governor. So please, Scuzzy, tell us what your goals are if you are elected for governor.
That's a great question. I actually have quite a few points. I'm not going to bring up all 24 right now, because I
24, wow.
Yeah, I have. I've been going around campaigning and talking with people, and as I've been talking with people, I've been writing down things that they've thought about, and a lot of people have had a lot of really good ideas. And so some of those are stop and go red lights. For sure, I'm going to do my absolute best to bring that in, and I don't see an issue with bringing that in.
Well, to be honest with you, I think all traffic laws are liberal control. What happened to freedom on the roads? But go ahead.
Well, it's how that, they got to get into your pocket somehow.
Hey,
Don't they?
amen to that. Amen, yep.
And on top of that, I want to increase the speed limit. So
Amen.
I want to use more than my first gear, brother. I paid for this vehicle, and I'm going to be damned if I'm going to use only one gear on my transmission. You know what I mean? So
affirmative on that.
I say we increase it to 50. Let's bring in second or third gear. And that way a felony speed is now 85 miles an hour. So you can actually, in an emergency, get somewhere without being a felon, So
what would you change the speed limits to on like the freeways? Would you change those?
They're currently 70 right now, maybe 75. I do know that Route 68, with all of that new build up out there, they changed the speed limit to 40, notified absolutely nobody, and gave out 0 warnings. So they've completely changed the laws overnight and capitalized on the ignorance of these good, innocent taxpayers. And honestly, that doesn't sit right with me, because they're just lining their pockets with hardworking people's money. And I don't think that's right.
It's not right at all. It actually happened to me. As soon as Blaine County had all that new architecture work done, I was driving down the road, got pulled over. They gave me a reckless speeding ticket for $373, and I wasn't told. There's no signage. There's no anything about the speed limit being changed there.
they actually incorrectly there's signage out there, but it's the wrong
Yeah,
number.
they're wrong.
It's actually entrapment by the state, and they're setting themselves up for a lawsuit. And as a governor, I would certainly fix that issue.
Great, that is excellent. So, tell us, like, so besides that right there, that being one of your values, you're talking about 24. Do you have like a top 5, including that one, that you think the people would want to know?
Definitely.
Oh, and also, before you go, can they find all 24 on your Laugh Invader?
I can, that's a good idea. I should put that public. Real quickly, my number 6 thing is transparency. I plan on having a public work log that any tax-paying citizen can go on, and you'll see all of the things that I'm working on, the steps that I'm, doing towards it, who I've been
That's great.
talking to, if I'm getting shot down, if it's going well. So, I feel like you vote these guys in, you never see them again. You never see these people ever again. And it's like you wasted your vote, So I feel like with transparency, a lot of people would feel more comfortable voting for somebody they know that isn't just going to disappear and is going to fight for them, actually.
No, I think that's great.
But moving on, I want to small business. I want to help small business because right now there is a cap on how many people can be clocked in and working. And at businesses like Bahama Mamas, there can certainly be more than 4 people working at a time. You have one person security, one person working the door, 2 people at the bar, 3 dancers. You know what I mean? Like, how many people is that? And that's just, a skeleton crew, honestly.
So, I gotta jump in. You're telling me the government controls how many people can be on the clock at a private business?
Yes, these
What the hell?
They lease the business, and the government says how many people can work at a time.
Okay, hold on. So they lease the business. Are you telling me that every business is government owned?
That is correct, as well as
What the
buildings.
hell?
Yeah, nobody actually owns anything. It's all leased by the government.
The government owns. Good Lord. It just gets deeper and deeper. This damn government's trying to control every facet of our lives, Scuzzy.
They're not trying, buddy. They
You're
have succeeded.
True. You're damn right on that. They sure have succeeded. They sure have. What's next? Who knows? We need to get someone in who's going to fight for what's right. And it's sure starting to sound like that's what you're going to do.
I'm going to do my best. And there, I'll just want to say now that I have no plans on injuring myself in any way.
Well, thank you for letting us know. We all heard it here first, and this show will go on. It is always recorded, so we have heard you loud and clear there.
Damn right, brother. As a proud patriot of this Los Santos state, I just plan on doing my absolute best and being completely transparent along the way.
Amen to that. And, people might have not met you before, so would you mind saying, like, a little bit about your background and who you are, too?
Sure. I'm Scuzzy Jerry. I normally have a green man bun and drive a turquoise green old Vapid Slam Van custom. I used to work at the hospital as a resident doctor.
Oh, wow.
I've owned Uwu Cafe for a year and 6 months now.
Wow.
I also, at one point in time, did have my bar license, so I did have several clients I protected from the law, from the state as a defense attorney, and on top of that, just an overall entrepreneur, investor of small businesses, because I actually work at a used car lot in Harmony.
Oh, what's the name of that one?
Adventure Cars.
Adventure Cars. Okay. Very nice. Well, this is all sounding great, Scuzzy. So you want to be there for the people. You want to be transparent. You want to combat all these horrible liberal policies that are harming everybody hard working. I wanted to ask you something, too. So we had someone come on the show earlier. They were talking about how they think the $500 is needed. They disagreed with me on that, but I gave them a great counterpoint. And maybe this is something you could talk about too if you're able to become governor. Instead of giving everyone free $500 that's taken from all of our hard-earned paychecks and all of our hard-earned businesses, whatever it may be, where all the taxes come from, what about instead of that, you put a job center at the hotel where all that free housing is given and give them the opportunity to get a job to get their career started in Los Santos? I, for one, think you should be able to sign them right up to work for the Los Santos garbage service. Get them cleaning up the streets right as they move in.
You know, that's one of the points. Point number 23 is we need a sanitation service.
Amen.
I don't know if you've ever been down at the courthouse lately. There is trash everywhere. People leave their cash envelopes, their old IDs. All the bins are full all the time. Nobody is emptying these bins. There's nobody doing trash. And it's honestly disgusting. And soon there's going to be an outbreak. And we really need a sanitation service to keep this city clean. And so one of the things I want to do is bring in sanitation.
No, that's fantastic and great to hear. But one other concern I had, and I'm curious on your stance on it, is it seems that there's legislation getting passed all the time that's making it harder and harder for the citizens to secure a firearm, the Second Amendment right, to be able to defend themselves. What do you think about that, and what would you change to try to make those more accessible for hardworking patriots to defend themselves from the crazy amount of criminals we have in this city?
The one thing I wanted to do was, as you first land in the city and you're unboarding from your plane, they give you several things, like $500, your cash ID, or not cash ID, your state ID, a tourist guide, and some food. But I feel if they also gave you your firearm ID with your state ID, you could go on down to the nearest gun store and just buy a gun. But currently, it's not very hard to get a gun. You just go to the courthouse, you get yourself a firearms license, and then you just go to the gun store and you get a gun. It probably takes about 10-15 minutes, and I don't have an issue with taking 10-15 minutes to get yourself armed, because maybe there's a chance you can calm down and cool down in those 10-15 minutes, and you don't feel the need to maybe shoot somebody.
Let me put that a little bit further for you. So for some reason, I don't understand it exactly, but having any firearm above a pistol is outlawed, and it's against the law here in this city. Is that something you would look to roll back?
I feel shall not be infringed, verbatim is what is said. And,
Amen.
I think a good way to combat a large outbreak or abuse of said firearms would be the munition. Now the question is, how do we regulate munition that everyone feels is comfortable, and also that criminals can't stockpile it and siege the police station again? And that's something that I would have to figure out. And I have a huge cabinet of amazing people.
Oh, great! Yeah, let's hear about
it. My leader of transportation is Abdul Awahim.
Oh yeah, just met him the other day. Taxi guy.
Yes, he's a really smart guy, and I think he has great plans for transportation, and maybe getting some of these crazy locals out of their cars and into buses, so there's not so many dang crazy locals all around.
That's a great idea.
I have my lieutenant governor is Bertha Darling. He's currently a doctor at the hospital. He's an incredibly smart person, and he knows a lot of things that I don't know. And I feel like with him, we can fan out, and get more stuff done. I'm sorry.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I do have other people. You want me to list the whole cabinet?
I mean, if that's the top, that's perfectly fine.
Those are the top two. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So my other question was, are you going to be at the debate?
Oh, 100%. Tuesday, 5 o'clock p.m. EST. I am going to be there.
Excellent. Okay. And do you think the government's ever going to release a list of who's actually running? I mean, it's a goddamn mystery right now.
Well, I feel it. I think it might be public knowledge. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I've looked everywhere. I couldn't find a list or anything. They're holding this debate and nobody even knows who the hell's running.
I know that there is a group chat that I have been added to by Yackle, Judge Yackle.
Interesting.
And I know who's in that group chat, and those are the known candidates.
Oh, hey, we'll all find out on Tuesday then, I guess.
Yes, yep. Because I mean, I'm not sure if I should list who's in this.
Oh, that's
group
fine.
Chat. It might,
yeah, that's fine.
It might be private.
I won't put you on the spot like that, but I will say this. I'll leave it to this next one. My next question is basically going to be, just share what you want, whatever you think your mission is, whatever you want the people to know all about you, Scuzzy. That just hand it out to them on a silver platter. Let's hear your slogan, your motto, whatever you want to call it.
Sure. There's been a lot of things been going on, a lot of controversy. Now that I've lost Uwu, I lost my baby. I have a lot of free time, and I want to put that free time to something good. And I feel like the community could really use my help. And I just want to carry this state to a better tomorrow. Scuzzy Jerry, February 1st.
Amen to that. That was fantastic. And Larry Lincoln listeners, from what I've heard here, we're agreeing on a lot of points. It seems like he might be the one who could finally break us free and wake us up from the liberal nightmare holding us down, taking away our freedoms, and maybe, just maybe, we can return to the American dream. Scuzzy, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Looking forward to the debate and looking forward to watching your campaign. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks, Larry. Until next time, brother.
Until next time. And Larry Lincoln, listen, before he goes, make sure to look at his account on Live Invader. It's just Scuzzy. Is there anything special about it? Scuzzy Jerry. No. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Scuzzy Jerry on Live Invader. And are you going to put those 24 points out there too on the account?
Yes, I'm going to do some revision. It looks clean and all the words are spelled right, and then I'm going to put it out there on Life Invader.
Perfect. God bless you, Scuzzy. Thank you for sticking up for the patriots of this here city, and I can't wait to see you at the debate on Tuesday. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir. See you then. Bye-bye.
Take care now, Scuzzy. God bless. Oh, that was absolutely lovely, Larry Lincoln listeners. I've met Scuzzy a few times. He was an avid supporter of the show, a self-proclaimed patriot, and from what I've seen, not only is he self-proclaimed, I'll goddamn say it too. He is a patriot, Scuzzy Jerry, running for governor. That was absolutely great. We'll have other governor candidates on next Friday. We'll have to wait and see who's actually running on Tuesday. But I do have 2 lined up. So, actually, before we move on to the next topic, we got a caller. Let's see. Larry Lincoln, The Larry Lincoln Show. You're live on air. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, this is Larry Lincoln.
Larry, is this the Larry Lincoln Show?
Sure is. You're alive on air.
Larry Lincoln, I just want you to know that you are doing the Lord's work right now. I have prayed over you. I have prayed about you. And the Lord is telling me that you are key to his work in spreading the Catholic Church in the Archdiocese of Los Santos everywhere to rid us of this liberal satanic nightmare that is happening right now.
Amen to that. Thank you so much for telling me that, because I tend to try to do the best I can, especially in the Lord's eyes, because I am an avid believer in the Lord as well.
Amen. Amen. You know, Larry, you are just doing a wonderful thing out there. And I really, you're questioning the governor candidates. And honestly, I just don't know who I'm going to vote for. But thank you for your platform. I don't think I would be able to truly understand what's going on. I feel like I'd probably vote for Satan, because I think he's
Lord.
Not knowing I'm voting for Satan, but I probably would vote for Satan, But you, Larry, you're doing such a wonderful job. I love you. Honestly, the Lord. And when I get my church, we will be shouting you out each and every sermon, because you are doing the Lord's work right now.
Well, God bless you, sir. Thank you so much for those nice compliments. And I got to say, a church starting up in this hellhole, you got a mission to take on, don't you?
Yeah, yes, I do. I was on your show couple of weeks ago. I'm the pastor, Father Lawrence. I also work at Pizza This.
Okay.
You know, and you
Oh,
were
yes.
just
I remember.
Yep. We are, you know, we absolutely love you. And every chance I get, I make sure I tell people, make sure you're listening to the Larry Lincoln Show, because Larry Lincoln is really where it's at right now.
Oh, fantastic.
Honestly, that godless filth I hear on the radio, I feel the Lord telling me to just ran my car off of the cliff and come meet him right now. But I tell the Lord, I got work to do. I got work to do.
Hey, the Lord, he works in mysterious ways, so glad you are taking on his mission as well. And I got to ask, where's this church going to be starting up at? I'd love to attend.
I'm thinking about, you know, where Pizza This is. You know, we're doing a little we're trying to do a nice little Italy around here. So it's going to be around near Pizza This, so it can be near the, you know, the base of everything. My Catholic Italians, you know.
All right. Well, hey, whenever it gets started up, make sure to reach out to me. We'll have to do a segment, get you on talking about religion and bringing it finally back into this city where there's none.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much, Larry Lincoln. If you come down to Pizza This, you will get a free meal sponsored by myself, Father Lawrence.
Well, you're really too kind. And again, thank you so much for the kind words. God bless you, and have a great one. All right. Thanks so much for calling in.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care now. What a great caller, Father Lawrence. Wow. The church coming to this city. I got to say, Larry Lincoln listeners, finally, is there something of the religious element coming to the city? Now, we're going to be going into a little ad break here. We'll see you when we come back, and we'll finish up the show of the day. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Larry Lincoln Show. Larry Lincoln listeners, do I have something to share with you? Are you looking for a new car? Are you looking for good people, a good deal? And are you tired of trying to deal with all these liberals who want to sell you cars at overpriced markups with all these taxes and all this stuff where your money goes nowhere except for the no good, homeless, criminal, drug addicts who are ruining our town? Look no further than Apex Auto Sales, an official sponsor of the Larry Lincoln Show. And when you go, make sure to tell them Larry sent you. Larry Lincoln listeners, listen up, because I have something to tell you. Have you ever had your car destroyed in an intersection by a crazy drug-induced liberal? Have you ever been on the side of the road wondering, what am I going to do? I don't know how to get help. Well, look no further, Larry Lincoln listeners. Harmony Repair is there for you. They're the official sponsor of the Larry Lincoln Show, and they'll be there for all your needs, and they'll be there way better, way more reliable than anything this liberal government will do for you. And why don't you tell them Larry sent you? Larry Lincoln listeners, do I have something good to tell you? Go Die Industries. Have you heard of them? Well, if you haven't, you should. Not only are they an official sponsor of the Larry Lincoln Show, they're a business offering a service unlike any other in this city. Go Die Industries will take your hard work, whatever it may be. They'll buy it from you at competitive prices, and you'll be able to circumvent all those taxes that those liberals are trying to put on the effort that you do to make a living. Go Die Industries. Be in your element. Have you had a long day dealing with a bunch of liberals? Are you just trying to put your mind at ease with some actual sensical thinking? Get yourself over to the Yellow Jack. Good people, good food, good drinks, and never a dull moment. Yellow Jack Inn, where if it ain't yellow, it ain't worth jack. Have you ever dreamed of sailing on a boat, perusing the nice waters of this great earth made by God? Well, let me tell you something. The State Department of Boats has plenty of boats that you can buy. Your heart's desire, whatever it may be, whatever your dream is, just like the American dream, this place can make your dreams a reality. But let me tell you something. It's something that the liberals don't want you to have. They want you to fill out all these forms, go through all these checklists, just so you can get a boat. But let me tell you something. If you're able to do it, go through the liberal policies until they can be gone, you'll have yourself the finest piece of watercraft that I've ever seen. So get yourself down there to the State Boat Department, find out how to do it, and tell them Larry sent you. Do you like comfort food? Do you like a coastal feel? Do you like both of those things together? Well, let me tell you, Tide and Table, located at the Del Perro Pier, is the place to be for comfort food and a coastal feel. They have a great selection, a great menu, good people working there, and I can tell you personally, the meatloaf is one of my favorites. Go to Tide and Table, where comfort meets coast. Larry Lincoln listeners, you're in the city, you need a repair, liberals are harming your prized, most valuable car. Where are you gonna go? Well, you're gonna go to Los Santos Customs. Los Santos Customs, located right there in the city of Los Santos, will get you fixed up right. They got a good workforce of good old patriots just trying to hold down the last frontier of being a patriot in the big city. And when you get there, tell them Larry sent you.
When you're stuck, don't stress at all. They count it so and ready for your call.
San Andreas best here to save the day. We lift you up, going all the way. Lake County Towing, we'll pull you through for all your towing needs. We're here for you.
Luxury, security, transport. Larry Lincoln listeners, I'm introducing you to Buckingham, a service that puts your experience with those three things above anything else. And let me tell you, it is amazing. Have you ever wanted to fly high into the sky? And no, I don't mean with drugs like a liberal. I mean aboard a private plane. Have you ever wanted to peruse the actual patriotic countryside of this city without having to worry about any sort of liberal threats? Well, let me tell you, they have it here at Buckingham. Buckingham is the place to be, the place to go, the place to see. When you call them, tell them Larry sent ya. Injustice, tyranny, liberals. No matter what it is, Larry Lincoln listeners, there's somebody I want to introduce you to. Stella Della Muerte. She's a public defender, and she fights for the people, for their rights, and what they deserve. Nothing less. That's why I've chosen Stella Della Muerte to be the official legal representation of the Larry Lincoln Show, and let me tell you, you should too. She is the person for the job, and she will fight for your rights when none of these corrupt liberal politicians will do anything for you. So if you're in legal need, if you need some legal advice, no matter what it is, make sure to call Stella Della Muerte.
Quiet, please. Ladies and gentlemen, you ready for the big show? In exactly 15 seconds, we'll be on the air.
Larry. This is the Larry Lincoln Show.
What has happened to America? What has happened to democracy? What has happened to freedom?
Honestly provocative talk radio with Larry Lincoln.
This country was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by a bunch of idiots.
Broadcasting across the United States of America and based in Los Santos.
You can laugh over my liberal tears.
That great moment every day where Larry brings you the cold, hard facts without any liberal wokenism from the Daily Dead Fish Wrapper or mainstream media bias.
University, plaguing people's minds with indoctrination.
Now, here's your host, Larry Lincoln. Larry Lincoln listeners, welcome back into the Larry Lincoln Show. We're just wrapping up, and I had one more segment that I wanted to get to. But it seems that the person, again, we're out of the 4 people I was going to have on today's show, only one showed up, and it was the Patriot, Scuzzy. Now, that sure does say something. That sure does say a lot. So, we were going to have one more person on the show. Their name is Brittany Angel. Now, if you don't know Jesus Christ. If you don't know too much about Brittany, she works for the Department of Justice. I don't really know her position or anything like that. But I did see on Live Invader, she posted how she was unjustly prosecuted, unjustly treated by the San Andreas State Police. So I wanted to bring her on and have her talk about what happened to her, her experience, and share it with you, the Larry Lincoln listeners. When I brought this up to her, told her who I am, what I do, and all of you that listen in, just trying to survive, this is what she said to me. She said, well, why would I go on a radio show? Everybody who listens to a radio show is just people in retirement homes, half asleep and brain dead. Yeah, that's what she said, Larry Lincoln listeners. Brittany Angel said that everybody who listens to a radio show is either old, half asleep, or brain dead. Pretty interesting statement from someone who claims the police abused her. And she gets approached by someone with a radio show to share her story, and that's how she chooses to treat you all. It's a shame. It sure is. But as soon as I learned she worked for the DOJ, makes a little bit of sense. Makes a little bit of sense. I just honestly, I can't believe some of the things some of these people say in these government positions. All you do is you approach them with kindness, respect, and this is the kind of words they choose to say to you. It's a shame. It's a travesty. It's a disgrace. But hey, it's Los Santos at the end of the day. This is the place of where all those things happen. This is how the government's been run. This is where they're trying to lead us to. And if we don't make some sort of changes, it's never going to be able to be fixed. So God help us with this governor election. Hopefully we can do something to fix the nonsense that's taken over our damn city. So since we weren't able to bring on our last guest, that's it for the show, Larry Lincoln listeners. That is it for First Amendment Friday here on the Larry Lincoln Show. Free speech, God honest truth, and no corrupt left-wing liberal lies. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you have a great weekend, a good week. We'll see you next Friday. And again, if you have any stories, anything you think that people should know, 555-9451, please let me know. And building on that, if you're a business owner and you're interested in being a part of the show in a sponsorship sort of way, please don't hesitate to reach out. 555-9451. Be happy to talk to you about business, getting you in those advertisement slots. Would love to see it. At the end of the day, we're all Americans. We're all patriots. We're all just trying to do the best we can in this corrupt city we live in. Being in a bubble, isolated, taxed in unproportionate levels, and given nothing in return. We got to stick together, listeners. We got to stick together. Remember the American dream. And if we all do those things, I think we can take back our city. Amen to that. Amen to that, Larry Lincoln listeners. You take care. We'll see you next Friday. Have a good one. God bless you. And thank you for listening to the Larry Lincoln Show.